Well, there's an interesting story right now in the hip hop world. Out in Florida, there's a rapper named K-Sue, and he's charged for a murder. And apparently, according to the reports, after the murder happened, he met with his father to try to get some help, to try to somehow deal with the situation. So now his father is being charged with accessory to murder after the fact. Have you heard about this?
No.
This is what it means. You kill someone, you go to my house and say, hey, I just killed someone.
Mm-hmm.
I help you clean yourself up, get away, do whatever cover up is necessary for you to not get arrested.
Right.
Now I'm an accessory to this murder after the fact. I wasn't there when the murder happened, but I'm an accessory in the actual murder case.
Okay.
So in this case, K-Sue gets arrested. His father gets arrested. His father's facing 30 years because he had a bunch of other priors and so forth. So now his father is actually testifying against his son in this murder case.
Mm-hmm.
And the father's justification is that I didn't do anything. My son is not saying anything, even though he knows I didn't have anything to do with it. Now I'm facing 30 years for something he did, so I got to do what I have to do.
Right. Very
dicey situation. From your point of view, if your son came to you, and you have how many sons?
2.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They come to you and say, Dad, I just killed someone. I need some help. Number one, would you help them? And if you got caught, would you testify against them?
Man, there's too many variables there, man. Because then you got to add the fact that I've also got strikes against me. So you're saying, would I give up my life for somebody who, there's so many circumstances there. If I've warned this person in the past and they chose to do whatever, the one message is you make you lie in the bed that you made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's so many scenarios there. It's not a cut and dry situation.
Yeah. Listen, I brought this up with TK Kirkland and he said that he would testify against his son. He's having to testify against his son who did the murder, who I guess is not saying that his dad had nothing to do with it. So now he's being put in a situation where his own life, he's potentially going to lose his own life in prison because of something his son did. And, people are like, I can't believe the father would testify and so forth. So the father actually went on Instagram and he made a statement. He said, if it was me and my daddy in a situation like this, I would have been freed my daddy a long time ago, no matter what my consequences would have been. No justification needed, especially if he's a good, great daddy. He could do more for me out of jail than in jail or prison. Who leave their daddy in jail to rot, especially when you know he innocent? I would have been stood up and said my daddy ain't got a fucking thing to do with nothing. You people out there that in the free world talk that talk out there until it's time to walk that walk, facing that life sentence.
I agree with him. I would do the same thing if my son had me in a bad situation like that. I wouldn't even think I wouldn't even think twice about it.
I somewhat agreed. It's like, well, I'm supposed to throw my life away over some shit that you just did? Like right. 30 years for me over some shit I wasn't even involved in?
Right.
Because you decided to go off the fucking rails?
Yeah, if I was in a other situation and my father is going to do 30, I couldn't live with that.
Right.
As the son.
Right.
So
but apparently the son is being quiet, which is why the father is having to to step up. It's a very fucked up situation. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you this. Like I had a conversation with someone who's very close to this whole family. And the story I heard, and I can't say where it came from or whatever else, the story I heard was in the OJ Simpson situation, that it was actually his son that did the murders and that OJ basically had covered up for him. And that's why OJ never really cooperated, because he knew that his son would get life in prison. Mm. You don't believe the story?
God, no.
Really? His son has had mental issues over the years. I guess he had been a chef for a while, so he was used to dealing with cutlery and so forth and knives. You think OJ did it by himself? You think OJ killed? Or do you think he's innocent? I mean, because he was proven not guilty. You could also say that. You think OJ did it himself?
Bruh.
There was no one else involved. He killed his wife and Ron on his own.
So, okay, let me walk through this a little.
Okay.
We want to set up OJ Simpson. We're the greatest setup team.
I'm not saying he's set up.
No.
Okay.
I'm saying we, the cops, we want to set up OJ Simpson. We got to do that. We got to do that. We're going to set up one of the most famous people on the planet. When all while we're murdering these people, somebody could call him at any moment, and he's exonerated. He get on phone. There's a phone record. There's so many things that can happen while we're murdering these people. How many people will we have to have? You got to get the fresh OJ blood to drip in the foyer. You got to.
Okay,
you got to.
I'm not saying the cops set him up.
No. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Let's look at that he was set up.
Okay.
Because a lot of people want to believe that.
Well, that's
we got to make sure we don't
right?
leave none of our DNA. We got to have the glove. You got to get the Bruno Magli $200 shoe, and we got to step that in the blood. We got. It will take somewhat close to 50 people to be able to do these things successfully. Okay. Because you got to make sure that nobody is walking their dog or coming down the street at the time we're murdered. Yeah. We got to be the best setup team on the planet. We got to have fresh OJ blood because that stuff dries up. So we got to drip it in the foyer of his house. We got to do so many things and make sure nobody sees us. Not one hair comes out, and we got to do all of this when one of the most famous guys we know is going to get on the plane within a couple of hours. And if that dude does anything, it's a matter of public record. Would you sign up for that? So his son would have to be a superhero to be able to do all of that on a day when OJ's got to leave and all. If you really just walk down that whole path, not only to mention my manager, Greg Baumgarten, who's been my manager forever, who was the man who O.J. Simpson went golfing with that same day, who was one of O.J. Simpson's best friends.
Hold on. Okay, so your old manager.
My current manager.
Your current manager.
Yes.
Your current manager was golfing with O.J. the double murder happened.
Exactly.
And what did he tell you about O.J.?
My current manager knows what happened.
Okay.
He's one of OJ's best friends. I don't want to go. Let me just tell you, just the idea of the fact that somebody else did that is a result of watching a lot of television over the years and thinking, because this, I really feel this. If somebody deep down wants to believe something, all they have to do is find and stretch for the most fragmented piece of evidence to justify what they feel inside.